Hello everyone, and welcome to the Anatomy of Knitting, episode 73. My name is Erin, and I'm going to be your host. Today is July 9th, 2015. I am coming to you from Cork, Ireland. I'm an American expat living there. Excuse me. And it's a very overcast, cloudy day. No rain yet, thankfully, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some. I don't have a whole ton to talk to you about, but I figured I'd podcast because I didn't get a chance to podcast last week, and there's a couple of cats that may make an appearance. One there, and then I have another one down here on the floor. So that's Lola, and then Scout might make an appearance. Let's see. In this episode, I'm going to do a week in review recap. I'm going to talk about what's on my needles, and I think that's about it. Some other stuff might come up, but we'll see. So, I've got my berries in my nice Jack O'Patsy pottery, which I purchased here in Youghal, Ireland. It looks like Youghal, but it's apparently pronounced more like Youghal. And Berries is a tea company. That's Barry''S. It's a tea that's produced here in Cork. So let's get started. The week in review. It's been a couple of weeks since I last podcasted. I have been working on some other things for the IPS, which is why I took a break. I am doing a video tutorial for the August block of the month, and I'm trying to start early so I don't have to worry about having a big time crunch at the end. So I'm making good progress on that. We have taken a few trips, which you'll see pictures at the end of the podcast of. My husband has been really gung-ho about getting out of the house on weekends, so we took a trip to Old Head, which is a very scenic spot. There's a golf course that's on Old Head that we weren't allowed on because we're not members of the golf course. But there's a very beautiful, picturesque spot, and it's this cliff. And then down below is the water crashing. It's very windy. There's seagulls flying around, and it's very Ireland, I'll say. So we did that, and it's very apparent that we're not in the States anymore because this is a cliff. I would have expected that there was a guardrail or something to protect people from falling over and becoming Darwin Award winners, but there wasn't. So you have to be careful. You have to make sure that you and your toddlers don't go anywhere near the cliff. And apparently at one point, so Nathaniel liked to spend his time with me while we were out there, and then Malcolm liked to spend his time with Daddy. And apparently Bernie had said something like, you have to stay away from the edge because you could fall into the sea, and then Daddy wouldn't be able to get you. He wouldn't be able to reach you. And Malcolm is our worrier, we've noticed, and he then proceeded to lecture his father about how they should stay away from the cliff because it's dangerous. And so it was cute, but maybe we could have handled that a little bit better. I don't like to make him worry unnecessarily. So let's see. It's just our normal week. And then we went this past weekend. So almost maybe about 5 days ago, we went to the Waterford and Suir Valley Railway, and this is a narrow gauge railway that just takes you around the Waterford and Suir Valley area. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Suir, so I'm assuming it's Suir. So it's about an hour and a half drive from here. So we all woke up, had breakfast, and piled into the car, and then proceeded to drive. And the boys handled it really well. Most of the time they they need somebody to interact with them and keep them entertained, read them books, give them magazines, give them books to look at. But they managed to entertain themselves by looking out the window and talking, and so I didn't have to as actively participate, and I was able to work on some knitting during that car trip. We got there, the first train left at 11, and we managed to get there with about a half-hour window of time. We didn't want to be pushing, missing the train, because we're on a very strict nap schedule to keep boys happy. So we walked around, we looked at the area, and we bought our tickets. And then they brought the train out from the storage that they put it in overnight. And Malcolm was very insistent about getting close to the train and checking out the train and looking at the train. And so we did that, and he picked out our seats. He was very insistent that we had to sit where we sat. So we got on the train, and it was time to go. And we watched Thomas the Tank Engine, or Thomas and Friends, as I think it's called now. So they're kind of familiar with all the whistles that happen with trains, but I guess, is it the conductor that takes the tickets? I think so. So he blew his whistle to let the train know that it was okay to go, which he was quite close to us, so it startled Malcolm, and I think he again started to worry. And so then the train started going in, and Malcolm really got concerned. So they had given us some blankets to keep warm just in case it was chilly. So I had the blankets sitting next to me, and so I moved those off, and it's more. The blankets were here, and then Nathaniel was sitting next to the blankets. So I just moved the blankets, and I had Malcolm sit next to me, and then they had a blast. Once they got used to the kind of noise and clanking of the engine and the cars on the rail, they had fun. And they have a little fairy and leprechaun village set up that we stopped at, that the boys like to see. And then we just took the train all the way to the end, and then what it does is it just backs up the way that we came. And the boys are really big Cars fans, and so I kind of talked it up, like we were like Mater going backwards. We're backwards driving, and they seem to really enjoy that. After that, we started to head back home, but we stopped, and I don't remember the little village, well, I guess town, that we stopped in. I want to say it was like Dungarvan, but I'm not 100% sure that that's where we stopped. And we had lunch at McDonald's. I know. I'm not a big McDonald's fan either, but we wanted something quick and easy and something that we knew that the boys would eat and enjoy. But another side thing is that we were right next to a Lidl, and Lidl is a chain of grocery stores similar to Aldi, which I think are in the States. I don't know if you have Lidls. I hadn't seen any Lidls in the Washington state area, so I don't know if it's there. So we ate lunch, and then I went into the Lidl that was right next to the McDonald's, because we are on the search for pickles. Because pickles here, like nice, koshery, dilly, so tangy that you feel it in your mouth. They don't exist here in Europe, or at least in Ireland. It's very hard to find. Oh, I've got. Oh goodness. I knew that was coming. Those two don't like each other. Ladies. A little bit of excitement there. Where was I? Oh, so pickles. Oh, it never stops here. We are on the hunt for like really good dill pickles, because all of the pickles here that you can find are sweet. There's always an undertaste of sweet to all the pickles, and And that used to be a problem because when we first got here, Malcolm would only eat the really dill pickles. He's since learned to adapt, and now he eats any pickles that we bring, but we're on the hunt for like good kosher pickles. My dad actually heard me, I think, bemoaning to my mother this hunt that we have because I go to the Tesco, which is our local grocery store, and I've tried to find pickles there, and most of them are the sweet pickles. And then I thought, well, they have a Polish section. Maybe there's good pickles in the Polish section. So I found one jar, and it was something like pickles, brined pickles, and I thought, oh well, maybe that's pickles, the good dilly pickles. So I purchased it, but I should have, when I saw brine, I should have realized that the brine is that really salty water that you put like steaks and meat and stuff in to help make it tender, I guess. So when we got those pickles here, and you bit into them, you got that really good dill taste, but then you just got salt, overwhelming salt. So that was a bust. So now we're trying grocery stores. Oh, pardon me. So I was talking about pickles before I was interrupted by my phone, and I apologize for that. We recently got a shipment from my dad because he loves to send these boys things that they're really excited about. My dad purchased us some jars of kosher pickles, and then he also purchased Pringles, dill pickle flavored Pringles, which sound completely disgusting, but are actually surprisingly good. So that is our pickle hunt. And if anybody here lives in Europe and has access to like a Tesco or a Super Value, or let's see, we have Dunn stores, or the Aldi and Lidl, and you know of a good pickle, a good dilly pickle, please let me know, because I'm just on the hunt. So we are probably about 12 minutes in. So let's get talking about the knitting, because I'm probably going to get another phone call at some point, although I did put my phone on vibrate. So the knitting that I did while we were traveling to go see the railway is that I worked on these socks. This is my Schoppelwool Crazy Zauberball. That's what the colorway looks like, and there's the information on the back. Here is my finished sock. Love this kind of gradiated coloring, except the toe just changed color like super abruptly. So there's my finished sock, and I think the last time I spoke to you I maybe had about that much done of the cuff. I continued with the cuff, did my usual slip stitch heel like so, and I am currently working on the gusset. And I was a little nervous that the abrupt change on this sock would be really, really noticeable, but it happened on the other sock as well. That sort of dark blue on the green. So they'll kind of be matching. Otherwise, they don't really match at all. Like so. So this is my usual knitted sock, kind of boring. I do about 1 inch of 1x1 ribbing, maybe about 5-6 inches of cuff. I do my slip stitch heel, and then turn the heel and do a gusset. This is the ball of yarn that I have left, fairly significantly decreased. There's a lot of that Barber Polly yarn on there. I really like the spots where it's not as Barber Polly, like this blue spot. And this green spot. I really like those sections. I wish there was more, but yeah, there. So that's the pair of socks I have on the needles. And I'm trying to get these done so I can cast on the Knitted Wit sock yarn that I purchased in Seattle. The other thing that I have on the needles, it's never ending. I have started another ball and probably have knit maybe about a quarter of the ball. It is my Hitufude. I'll show you the back of it. There you go. That's a fairly accurate color representation. I'm currently working on the skirt portion of the sweater. I have added, or will add, a total of 2 of the lace repeats, which is going to be 4 of those V's. So I'm working on the last one. So this is the extra length that I'll be adding on, right, starting where my finger is there. So super exciting. Not really. That's the non-increased section. Here's the part that has all the increases, so it kind of makes those lace portions kind of V out from each other, and that gives you a lot of swinginess on this side. So I will finish, I think I have 2, so I have to purl a row, and then I have 4 more rows after that, and then that lace repeat will be done, and I will start working on the 1x1 ribbing, and then once I cast that off, I will be done. I still have that much of this skein, and then 1 more skein upstairs left, and this is Volmai's 100% Merino Superwash in that colorway that I won't even attempt to pronounce because I don't speak German very well. This is yarn that I purchased when my husband and I took a trip to Germany prior to the boys even being considered to be had. So this is a vintage stash, to say the least. And I have this in my cross patch bag, which is a bag that I made from the book Modern Vintage Quilt Revival, I think. So I made that. Sewing wise, I have been working on the block of the months for the southern branch of the IPS. I did July's block, which is a bear paw. And then I'm working on August's. I'm creating a handout, and I'm doing a video tutorial because it's not tricky, but I guess it could be, and it's working with templates. So for those who haven't had a chance to do that yet. I don't think I've finished any quilts since I last spoke to you. I did make a quilt top for my husband for Christmas. I've got a huge amount of stuff in the queue for Christmas that I need to make. And I know it's kind of crazy to think about that now, but because it's July. But when you hear the list, it's kind of crazy. So I have, I'm making pillowcases and maybe a Christmas stocking for my brother. He's a big Doctor Who fan. I made him a TARDIS quilt last year, and I'm making him Doctor Who pillowcases. I am making my husband a quilt for Christmas. I'm making the boys each a quilt for Christmas. I'm making my mother something. I think she watches the podcast. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's super awesome, and I'm very excited to try and make it. And then I'm going to knit something for my dad, I think. I bought a kit for a pointer, which is a breed of dog. So I think I'm going to make that for him because we had a pointer when I was growing up, and he got really attached to him. So I'm going to make him his own Jake, which is the name of our dog. And so far I've gotten 1 of the pillowcases done for my brother. And the fabric that I used, well, here, I'll show you. The fabric that I used was a TARDIS fabric that I purchased at Fabric Depot when we were there with our last visit. However, the TARDISes I wanted facing, when you have the pillow on your bed, I wanted the TARDISes to face up. And the way that the fabric was printed, had I just cut it the way it told me to, the TARDISes would have been facing the wrong direction. So I ended up using a little more fabric than it was called for to make the pillowcases. And so my mom's going to be visiting us in September, and she's going to be sending me more. Or actually, I think she said she was shipping them. We'll see. We'll see when it gets here. And then I do have some extra of that TARDIS fabric, so I think I'm going to try and make a Christmas stocking similar to the Christmas stockings I made for the family. My brother's a really big Fourth Doctor fan, so so that's all the stuff that I have to make for the holidays. Ari, stop, please. You're moving the camera. Thank you. Cats. I have to make a tote bag for a swap that I'm participating in over the summer, so I'm kind of gathering things together for that. And I'm currently working on the name. We had a summer challenge for the southern branch of the IPS, and that was to make name tags. And so I'm shrinking down the X plus block. Come on, stop! Come on! Come on! So normally it's like a 12 and a half inch block. I have shrunk it down to 2 inches. And I think I'd like to do that. So that's what I think I'm going to work on today after I finish editing and posting this. And yeah, that's all the stuff that I've been working on. So I think that's it. I think I'll let you go. I don't want to be interrupted anymore by all of this, cats, phone, chaos. So thank you for watching. I will do my best to record next week. And I hope you all have an excellent day, and hope your knitting projects are going well, and I'll see you next week. Bye!
Yay!